Guys, we're on the week 5 recap. I'm going to get right into it because I got a lot to say this week. We're going to start with George beating Hassan by a ton. George has 179 and was not the highest scoring team this week, which is pretty crazy. Um, the 5 he has with Russell Wilson, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Godwin, and Thielen. If Thielen comes back, kind of what he was doing last year, it's that's a really good team. That's a really good team. I was saying that the first week after I beat him because he's won 4 games in a row after I beat him week 1. I was saying his team's gonna be fine. The Zeke Dalvin Cook combination is great. It's probably the best running back combination in this league. Um, and then you got Russell Wilson, who has been an all-star this year. Everyone was down on Russell Wilson going into this year in fantasy, at least. I remember all these, so-called analysts saying don't draft him. Um, I'm glad. I'm a really big Russell Wilson fan. So I'm glad he's doing well. With Braided had 26 on his bench. Edelman had 21 points. He's got a very good team. It's gonna be very hard to beat. This is probably your team to beat so far this year. I would say is George. I mean, he's in first place anyway, but this is probably your team to beat. Um, beat Hassan, who's uh, Hassan's team's kind of up and down a little bit. He has really good weeks, but it seems like sometimes his team doesn't perform that well. I mean, it's kind of like any team, I guess. Phil Rivers, 4 points. Not the greatest fantasy year for him so far. Um, I think Hassan. I misspoke in the chat. I think he actually traded for Tom Brady, not Kaleem, so that will help him a little bit. Um, Gurley and Ingram, another good running back combination. Um, he sat Marlon Mack against the Kansas City defense, which I wouldn't have done. I would have started him, but it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. Um, so we'll see how Hassan's team bounces back. I think I like his team too. It just depends a lot on if Lockett and Boyd, those two wide receivers for him, he has to not make sure, but he has to really believe that those two wide receivers can carry him through the year because I'm not sure. I mean, Boyd has been really good and Lockett's been good too, but it's just a matter of them holding up. So we'll see. Um, Kaleem, 182, man. 1-4. He's back in the mix. 1-4 is definitely not a death sentence, especially since you score 182 for your first win. Everyone across the board, from Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper, Will Fuller, he started. He did this without the Walrus scoring anything. Um, he just had incredible performances across the board. And it's funny. I mean, if you look at the back half of this, like Waller, Williams, Sanders, and Sly, it's really he didn't get that much out of those guys. If he got a little bit out of those guys, you would think he's scoring close to 200. Um, but Jones, Cooper, Fuller, even Winston had a good game. He did this without Devontae Adams too. Unbelievable performance by Kaleem. I believe this might be the highest performance, at least point wise, this year. He beats SN's team, who only scored 65. He basically lives and dies with these two wide receivers, Evans and Allen, and he had 3.8 points combined between the two. That stinks. That probably will never happen again. Just a kind of a fluke off week from SN, and Mahomes 18 points. That's a good performance, but when you have Mahomes, you're really looking for in the 20s. That's how good he is. He was without Saquon Barkley. That hurt him as well. Um, so he needs Saquon back. It looks like Saquon's going to be out this Thursday night against the Giants, but I'm thinking after that he'll be back. Um, he was debating starting Scantling or some other player, or maybe that was last week, um, but it didn't matter. So he's still got a good team. McCoy, just a lot of bad performances at the same time for him. I think he's due for a bounce back. He's still 2-3. He's right in the thick of things. We're only 5 weeks in. This is a very good matchup between Raheel and Fawad. 147 to 140. Raheel pulls out the victory. Very good performance by Raheel with Watson. Michael Thomas had a great game. He did this without Julio Jones doing really well. Wayne Gallman didn't do much either, so he really got like really big performances again from Deshaun Watson, Thomas. Kittle really had a good performance, and that was kind of long time coming, at least for this year. I don't believe he's been that good. Yeah, I mean the first 3 weeks he didn't do that much. Then he had a bye. He finally gets a really good performance from Kittle, so his team becomes even more dangerous with Kittle playing better. And Emmanuel Sanders only a point. So he scored 147, and he really could have had more, I would say. And Fawad, it's just really bad luck. I mean, with McCaffrey, you would think anyone with McCaffrey this week would win. But when you look at everyone else on his roster, I mean, Matt Ryan scored 32. But if you go down the line, not great. I mean, Schuster was pretty good, I would say. Had a decent game. Olsen with a big fat 0. Started Ryan over Dak Prescott, which is a very good move by him. Let's see. Anything else that stands out from this? Melvin Gordon came back for Fawad. That's a big thing. He didn't do that much the first game, but his team becomes extremely dangerous if Gordon comes back, and he's Melvin Gordon again. So Fawad, still right in the thick of things again. I believe, yeah, he's in 6th place, right in that last playoff spot. Now we got Billy versus Yates, and Yates' team falls to 2-3, 75 points with Billy. Strong performance with 123. Let's see. Allen Robinson, good performance with Chase Daniel. Chubb didn't do much. Kamara. He won. I'm not saying he's lucky, but he really won a game where a lot of his top players didn't play that well. Kyler was a really, really good start by him. Let's see if he started him over Wentz, which is that was a really good move by Billy. I would have started Wentz because of the Jets defense. But starting, Kyler was the right decision, and good for him that he made that decision. That's a bold take. Fournette and Jeffrey. Let's see. Yeah, Fournette's been low key. Fournette. I mean, I don't even know it's low key at this point. He's been getting a lot of targets, like receiving, and a lot of the hate on him going into this year was the lack of targets. So he's getting. I honestly I believe he's in the top 5 or 6 in running back targets. Don't quote me on that, but I really believe he's that high. So he's got that value for him as well. Fournette has been really good this year. I would say the yardage, the efficiency is not great. I believe, yeah. I mean, oh wait, no, never mind. he's really efficient, but trust me, in the beginning, he, like I said, the beginning the efficiency wasn't there, but with the Denver performance, it's the 29 carries for 8 yards per carry, and last week he's turned it around. So I really like Fournette. I'm glad he's doing better. Let's see, with Yates, he started Jacoby Brissett against Kansas City, and Jacoby played really well. He just played a really good football game, not a really good fantasy football game. David Johnson, Eckler's value is going to be hurt with Melvin Gordon coming back. I feel his pain with that on a couple of my teams. OBJ and Sammy Watkins, 4 points. He kind of had the SN syndrome with that. That sucks. No one really could do on his bench either. Carry-on was on a bye. That hurt, but he was not going to make up 50 points by that. So he'll be back. Yates is a very good fantasy player, and that I think he'll be able to come back. I mean, Watson and Beckham with 4 points combined. Odell, man, I don't. That's a conundrum. That doesn't make sense to me. I really believe that was going to work. I think something's going to have to break with that. I think there's a chance he comes back and plays better. I hope he does because I have him on some of my teams, and I actually tried trading for him. in this league. So you got me and Mo. I improved to 3-2. Mo is now in last place at 1-4. Um, I had a pretty consistent performance across the board. I didn't have any too big games. Cooper Cup had 22 points. Carson played really well with 18. And he played even better than that, I feel like, than the 18 points. I was watching that entire game. He looked really good, and he helped them win that game. The Seattle rushing attack is really good. Lamar only had 11 points, still didn't hurt my team. I had DJ Chark and Gallup on my bench with a combined 52 points. I'm interested in those guys. I think I'm starting Gallup this week because Montgomery's on the bye. So I'm interested in seeing Gallup because I have high hopes for him. Montgomery's on a bye. He's been kind of doing his 9 to 15 points a week. Michelle finally had a good game. I have confidence in him, so I'm sticking with him. I think he's going to be pretty good. Burkhead's been kind of questionable. Um, James White hasn't really been that involved either, so it seems like this Michelle's running attack, and hopefully he keeps playing teams like Washington to help that out. So, um, let's see. Mo Rogers played, I thought, a really good game in Dallas, but again, it was a really good football performance on a good fantasy football performance. Le'Veon Bell is going to definitely, his stock's going to go really high when Darnold comes back. That's going to help him. Mo's 1-4, but I could see a bounce back coming for him with Tyreek Hill coming back. Galladay was on a bye. Um, Darnold coming back, that's going to really help Le'Veon Bell. Trust me. Um, I'm a huge Jets fan. Luke Falk, I mean, every time Le'Veon runs the ball, there's like 3 or 4 guys in the backfield. He's lucky he's that good. I'm telling you that, I mean, most running backs would not even be hitting like the 5 point mark. And Le'Veon's just breaking 3 or 4 tackles. It seems like every time he gets the ball, and he can only get 3 or 4 yards because of it. Um, Devonta Freeman, has been a little bit disappointing, but he's kind of had a couple bounce back games. He's still considered a running back too. He's 23rd ranked running back. Ertz, consistent. I think. How's Ertz doing this year? He's 7th tight end, which is not what you want when you take him that high. But he's not giving you zeros though. So there has to be big games coming for him. And Lindsey has been really good this year, and people really had a negative opinion about him. Um, Going into this year, and I kind of wish I took him over Geis. I don't really remember if I had a choice between the two, but I kind of had them in the same tier, and I was thinking I was either going to have him like Lindsey or Geis on my team, and I ended up with Geis, and he got hurt. So wish I had a little bit more depth. So we'll take a look at the standings really quick. It's definitely good now after week 5 to take a look at the standings. Things are kind of taking shape a little bit. So you have George and Billy at 4-1, firmly at the top. You have the 3-3-2 teams with Raheel, myself, and Hassan. You have Fawad 2-3, but a dangerous 2-3. Then you got I keep thinking Game of Homes is Yates, but it's actually SN, and then you have Yates at also at 2-3. These teams are still in the mix. Everyone is still in the mix. You still have Kaleem, who had a huge performance this week, and Mo. We really have really deep parity this year across the board. I really could see any of these 10 teams making the playoffs, especially with 6 make it in. I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. You got to look at the points right here. Let me do this. You have George leading the league by 50 points in points, so he's a true number 1. Billy number 2 in points. Fawad number 3 with a 2-3 record. That sucks. Raheel number 4. I'm number 5. Kaleem is number 6, and I think this was mentioned in the chat at some point yesterday. He's 1-4 with the 6 most points. That's a good omen for him. I think, like I said, good things are coming for his team. It's just been bad luck so far. SN with 7. Actually, you have SN, Hassan, with who is 3-2 but has the eighth fewest points. Um, Yates at second to last, and then you have Mo. Those two down there. Um, Other than that, guys, we today's Wednesday, so the pickups have already been made. I hope everyone has a good week. I'm glad to be back. So I hope everyone has a safe and healthy week, and I'll see you guys on the next one next week.